The great Susan Crabtree, who joins us on the phone. She also has a brand new book out, which we'll get to in just a moment. Susan, good to talk to you as always.
Oh, it's great to talk to you, Vincent, and congratulations on your new gig. Couldn't think of a better person to take over. Not fill Dan Bongino's shoes, but to take over that slot. It's incredible to see someone I love seeing someone who is so deserving get rewarded for their work.
Thank you, Susan. I'm really looking forward to it. We start next week, Monday. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'll have to talk to you there in that venue, too. But, Susan, tell me about the Secret Service and the fact that they had to shoot this man. What do we know at this hour?
Well, I just spoke to the Metropolitan Police because they're the ones, the D.C. police are taking over this case and investigating it. And we know the guy is still alive. His name, as you mentioned, is Andrew Dawson. He's of North Manchester, Indiana. And he was placed under arrest for carrying a pistol without a license, carrying a rifle and a shotgun outside a home or business. And then he also had a BB gun. So, I think that's probably not what they were most concerned about. But this is right where all the reporters and a lot of staffers go in to the White House. This is sort of my normal route when I covered the White House as part of the briefing room for about a decade. Mm-hmm. So you park over there and you go right through this area, and there's a Secret Service checkpoint. I think this man was obviously suicidal, and he was alerted. This is actually an example of local law enforcement working successfully with the Secret Service. Which is a nice reversal of what we saw from J13 at the Butler rally when they were both blaming each other, and there was hands pointed in all directions, fingers pointed in all directions, but themselves to actually take responsibility for what happened in Butler. This one looks like they got their man, and now he's facing a host of charges.
Yes.
And yeah.
So here's something that stands out to me in this story that I'm really curious about. How did they know what his intentions were? Because the way all the reporting is going down, it's the Metropolitan Police Department, Metro PD in Washington, shared information with the Secret Service that this man may have been traveling to D.C. from Indiana and that he was anticipating a, quote, suicide by cop. How do they know all of that? I'd like to know, to what extent are they spying on all of our phones and communications in order to establish that fact pattern?
Well, I don't think they have a FISA surveillance warrant on all of us, but you do know that FISA does get abused at times. We do know that now.
Yeah.
But I do think this is local, from what I understand, local Indiana law enforcement communicating up the food chain to DC. So, like I said, I think it's actually they must have seen something, or somebody reported that he had suicidal thoughts, or there was some kind of social media post. We do not have that information yet.
Right.
But like I said, this is something, an example of, hey, the Secret Service is working with local law enforcement. This is refreshing, to say the least.
Yeah, and there's no reason to believe anything went wrong here in terms of the Secret Service's response. They were doing, it sounds like, exactly what they're supposed to be doing. They anticipate this guy. They're trying to approach him, and he's brandishing a weapon. At that point, any law enforcement officer would try and put down the threat.
Yes, exactly. It's very hairy for them, and they were criticized during the Butler rally for not shooting quickly enough. And what I was getting back then is that they really have to make sure that the person is armed with a real gun. There was I was even told that they like to get the confirmation from their bosses before if they can shoot. Now, other people have said that's not true. They can shoot if they see a gun pointed at the president, but they want to make sure it is a real gun. And certainly in Butler, they did not act quickly enough. And we all know why that was now, after so many congressional investigations and an independent review panel investigation. They had siloed communications, like what we experienced, like on a smaller scale, from 9/11. It's siloed communications once again, and hopefully they are solving that problem.
So you say hopefully. I was just about to ask, do you have any sense that they are solving these problems? Obviously, stopping an armed gunman outside the White House is a good start. What do you know about how the Secret Service is changing things under the new director, Sean Curran?
Well, I have had a request in to speak to Sean Curran. He has only done 2 interviews so far, and they were very quick and they weren't that revealing, to be quite honest. We all saw that wonderful moment of him with DJ Johnson giving the brain cancer survivor, 12 or 13-year-old, an honorary Secret Service agent, making him an
Yes,
honorary Secret Service agent at the State of the Union.
it was touching.
That was lovely. But they have not been forthcoming with me. Have asked them for an interview to talk about their reforms, and they have not granted that interview. I have been critical, as well as Dan Bongino, before he leaves his program. In the last couple of months, we have been critical of both Sean Curran and several agents that were in charge of security at the Butler rally and also at the Florida golf course.
Yeah.
Now, Sean Curran, that was his detail, and he put those people in those positions. Now, we need to know more about it, and I've been asking the questions. I would like to do a positive story on the Secret Service for
Sure.
a change. Why don't you tell me about whether you're going to keep the investigations aside, all the counterfeit money, financial crimes, even child trafficking cases, or whether you're going to give that role back, that duplicative role back to the FBI? Are you going to, because they share it now, they both do the similar types of investigations, and are you going to focus solely on protection? And by the way, is anyone getting fired? Is anyone getting doged at the Secret Service?
Right.
I'm hearing a lot of things about waste and abuse that are going on there, and I'm going to have questions shortly, soon for them on that. But we have not seen anyone fired in the Secret Service and it's 7 months after.
Yeah, and
the
I can
first
see,
attack.
and I can even guess how some of these like press people in the Secret Service are thinking. They're probably thinking, well, we don't want to reveal any new secret methods and procedures to protect the president. We don't want. You don't have to do that. There's a million. Look, the public has a million questions that need to be answered, and you don't have to give up anything about how you're dramatically improving some sort of new secret way to protect the president. We want you to maintain those secrets. But at the same time, we want you to give us the confidence that you take seriously all of the various problems that led to multiple assassination attempts on a protectee so that they don't happen again. There's a way to do this that'll help restore the public's trust.
Yes, and I broke this on WMAL earlier, I think last week. The Secret Service, their mission assurance report, that's their internal report on the failures at Butler and in the Florida golf course, they classified it. Now, I'm hearing that from multiple sources. Why are they classifying that report? Is it to prevent it from getting to the Office of Inspector General? Is it to prevent it from getting to certain committees in Congress? So although I think the Intelligence Committee could get a copy of that report, why are they classifying that mission assurance report? I've heard it's pretty juicy, better than the investigations we've seen so far more revealing than the congressional committees and that independent review panel. So I think that should get to the IG and to get to Congress for more oversight. There is way more reporting to be done on what happened in Butler, and I have a lot of different things that I'm hoping to explore.
And one other component to this is like that in the end is kind of on Kristi Noem, isn't it? She's the DHS secretary. Secret Service falls under her. Yes, you could kind of hope for the Secret Service director to play ball, but if he doesn't, he's got a boss, and that's Kristi Noem, and she's got a boss. That's President Trump. And so they can all play ball. And I see today that, for instance, FBI Director Kash Patel is apparently, according to Fox, working, quote, aggressively to comply with all of these congressional document requests. And he's sending documents over from the FBI to Congress in advance of the deadlines that people like Congressman Jim Jordan are giving to the FBI. So this is possible to be responsive and transparent in a quick way.
Yes, it seems like the Secret Service has been somewhat protected from, like I said, from DOJ, from any type of scrutiny so far, at least publicly. But I'm told, last week, Donald Trump said he has a report that's coming to him. There is a report. He didn't specify which agency. I believe it's probably the FBI, but
Right.
Cash Patel has just getting in there. So let's see who provides the most information to him. The report on the assassination attempts. The would-be assassins have all these bizarre things going on with them, with their multiple encrypted apps and foreign apps, and the other one, Ryan Ruth, having multiple cell phones on him, and he tried to serve in the Ukrainian army, all kinds of bizarre ties. So we still need answers, and Donald Trump said he's going to be demanding them. Whether he's going to be making that public or not is a real question I still have.
That's critical, and I hope he errs on the side of transparency, which he's done for so many other issues. Let me shift gears to your book. You've got a brand new book out, which I love. You've co-authored it with Jed McFadder. That title of the book is "Fool's Gold: The Radicals, Con Artists, and Traitors Who Killed the California Dream and Now Threaten Us All." And you take a special look at Gavin Newsom, the current governor of California, who's looking to start a big podcast career right now, and his connections to the Chinese Communist Party, which I think this is a pretty important topic, given that I've seen a lot of Democrats thinking that Gavin Newsom is the future in the country, the next president, perhaps. What should we know about Gavin Newsom?
Well, Gavin Newsom has you all are familiar with the way he cleaned up San Francisco for Chinese President Xi's visit at the APEC summit about a year ago or so. And then he miraculously cleaned it up. No homelessness on the street, no fentanyl shooting up. Then you saw you also probably familiar with his glamour photo ops on the Great Wall of China when he visited Xi personally. That may be well padded territory, but what we go into is that he started when he was a lieutenant governor, started a nonprofit called China SF, and we were wondering, why did one of his vineyards have a big Chinese shipping box with all this Chinese language on it in one of his vineyard mixology areas inside. And we started looking into it. So he started this group, China SF, when he was lieutenant governor, and it's responsible for bringing in more than 100 Chinese companies entree into California. And what they did with this is, you would probably guess, right? It's not so much going the other way. There's not a lot of U.S. companies getting into San Francisco or California companies getting into China, except, of course, Newsom did trademark his wines into China and actually had some ties to this business developer that we uncovered named Vincent Lo. He has deep ties to the CCP, the top Chinese government officials, and even Newsom poured wine for a lot of CCP officials and Vincent Lo at one of his buildings in Shanghai during a visit. So he's bringing in all these companies to California and undercutting the market because they're subsidized. Like when you're talking about SunTech and solar panels, they're subsidized by the Chinese government. So in fact, we all made fun of Solyndra at the time when it went under, even though it got Obama subsidies, clean energy subsidies, to the tune of I think 500,000. Well, SunTech, the Chinese government company that Newsom invited into California, was undercutting them the whole time, and then that company fell apart because they had false loans in Italy.
Yeah.
So the whole thing fell apart, and they were on the New York Stock Exchange, and actually U.S. investors were fleeced. They end up holding the bag. So is this good? This is just one example. We have numerous in the book. So I would invite your readers to you buy it, and we also have an excerpt on foxnews.com that goes into this in great detail. But what do you think that was all about? Was it personal, his trying to get entree in his wine business into China, or was it really trying to help out the American consumers and the California consumers?
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's China establishing another foothold in the United States and using one of its most prominent politicians now to do it. And so, yes, he sold out America for Chinese influence. And people deserve to know about this as this guy wants to take a run, clearly, at the White House. Thank you for exposing it. Susan Crabtree, always digging in, always sharing this important news. Good to talk to you today.
Absolutely, Vince. Thanks so much for your interest. Take care.